Okie dokie, boys and girls, it is day 318 of bulking to 75 kilos with calisthenics only, and we have a hamstring day now. One thing I'm starting to realize is there's less than 50 days left on this bulk, and not to sound cheesy, but there's only gonna be one time that I do a 1 year bulk for the first time, so I kind of feel like I have to enjoy the remainder of this bulk, even though not all of the time I want to train, sometimes I'm just feeling tired and I don't want to do it. Something I want even less for myself to happen is, to end this bulk and then look back and think to myself like, oh, on day 324, I would have liked to done more. I would have liked to have done more. Or like on day 247, I wish, I would have tried that one extra set, I don't want to have those feelings. So, you gotta kind of take a step back, when you don't feel like training, take a step back because whatever thing you're challenging yourself at, you're only going to be able to experience it once, You're only able to learn the planche for the first time once. You're only able to do, a year bulk for the first time once, And it's not only like regarding long-term goals, but also just in general. Every training you're doing, it's a one-time experience, You're not going to be able to relive the exact same training, so you better make use of it and get the most out of it, Today as well, yes, I'm feeling fucking tired. I don't know what's happening lately. Maybe a lack of sleep. But I'm gonna go out there and enjoy it anyway, I'm gonna try my best because I know that if I don't, I'm gonna regret it later. And that's, regrets are basically you not trying hard enough at some point, Like, you're not ever gonna regret trying something with your whole heart and then failing, If you tried and you gave it your all, that's all you can really ask from yourself. And well, since every challenge you basically do, you can only do it once, you can only experience it one time the way that you do it now, you're gonna make use of it, you gotta make the most of it. And well, that's what I'm gonna do today. So hamstrings, it's gonna be a controlled hamstring day. So last time, if you recall, I did the 4D Nordic curls in one training, which is actually a volume PR. But before moving on to longer sets and going for 50 Nordic curls in one set, I kind of want to take a back off and do some control trainings, because when you do these high volume Nordic curl sets, it becomes kind of explosive and you use some momentum. And well, there's a lot of tendons involved and ligaments involved in the Nordic curl, and you want to let those adapt safely. They don't adapt as quickly as the muscle does. So in order to train safely, every now you gotta back down, ideally before you get injured, and do some more controlled reps. So especially the bottom portion of your Nordic curl, you want to control, you want to do it slowly, and then the tendons can adapt, So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do today. I am going to do assisted Nordic curls. I'm going to use my pinkies as assistants, but also I've done this before, so in order to make it a little bit more difficult, I'm going to add weight. But like I mentioned, I do the pinky version because I want to control the Nordic curl. I'm not going to be able to go fast in the bottom portion of a Nordic curl when I'm putting my pinkies on the floor, because I'm going to fucking break them. So it's like a good way to force yourself to control your reps. If you're training the Nordic curl, it's a good way to first of all unlock the Nordic curl, but also once you've got it, to strengthen further and get more reps in the future. If you're not training the Nordic curl, well, do the fucking Nordic curl. It's like a great exercise. I don't know why such a little amount of people do the exercise, because once you master it, it's just like the front lever. You have this whole entire portion of your body that is just horsecock strong and able to do anything that you want it to do. So yeah, I'm gonna head outside, do some more Nordic curls, get stronger at them, and basically develop a beastly posterior chain. That's the goal. Let's head outside. Oh, fucking hell. Alright. That's the first working set. 8 reps. That might be a bit too much to do for 8 sets, but I'm gonna try, so let's go. Fucking hell. Alright. 5 sets, 8 reps. I don't know how exactly that I did it because this was feeling hard from set number 2, but I'm guessing I did it by cheating subconsciously a little bit on the way up, which in my opinion is okay when you're doing these assisted Nordic curls. The main part, the most important part, is the negative. If you can control the negative, if you can go down with a straight body and slowly when your fingers are on the ground, that's the most important part. And then you just help yourself up and you go again. As long as you can do that, it's gonna be okay. And at some point, you know, no matter how much you cheat, you're just not gonna be able to get up again. So next time, probably the same weight but some more reps, because I need to build volume if I want to get 50 reps of Nordic curls at some point. But for now, this is good. It's gonna start to rain, so I'm gonna head inside and move on to the next exercise. So let's go. Okie dokie, so it's time for portion number 2 and the final portion of the workout. It's gonna be the rehab circuit now. You might have seen me doing hip extensions already, but I've added some exercises to it to make this a full-on rehab circuit. You know, I've injured my hip by doing too many heavy pistol squats, and now I'm trying to fix it. And one mistake I used to do in the past is when I had an injury, and this is especially important if you have gotten the same injury multiple times, you know, the mistake I made was I just let it rest, you know. I didn't do anything. And of course, resting is important, but when you just rest and you don't do anything with the injured area, you know, your body is gonna heal up to a point where it can live a sedentary lifestyle. So when you don't do any exercise, you're not gonna feel pain. But the thing is, we don't want to live a sedentary lifestyle. You know, we want to train, we want to be horsecock fucking strong. So when you get back to your training, your injury is healed to the point that you can be sedentary, but it's not healed to the point that you can go back to your old ways of training. And you're just gonna repeat the same injury over and over and over again. And the way to prevent that is to actually work on your injury, you know? Like, try to mimic or try to kind of get the pain of your injury in a controlled fashion. So for me, in the planche, for example, this part of my forearm used to hurt like quite a lot, and I managed to trigger that pain with kind of a dumbbell lift, you know, but it was in a controlled fashion, and I was able to do the movement for high reps, get blood into the area, and then fix it. And once it was healed, I could, you know, make the area a bit stronger by upping the weight and going for less reps. But it's very important to target the pain and make your body bulletproof, basically, so that it doesn't get injured again, even if you go back to your old training. That's what I'm doing here, you know. You don't just want to rest. Resting is important, but after you're done resting, after you feel like you can live your sedentary lifestyle without any pain, then, you know, start hammering away, basically. Start strengthening that part of your body that was too weak so that it doesn't become an injury again. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I have 4 exercises in total. I have a band pull, like with extended legs. I will pull like this to activate my hip flexors. Then I will do some pike butterflies. You'll see everything happening. I'm gonna do a time lapse, but that's also gonna activate my hip flexors. Then I'm gonna do a quick hamstring stretch as well, followed by hip extensions, which is gonna, you know, stretch my hip out in the end. So actually, one more thing that's very important for these rehab exercises is, you know, for some reason we don't come to the conclusion that we should aim for hypertrophy on rehab exercises. At least for me, I didn't used to have that conclusion in my head. I didn't think that way. I would just do rehab and I would see it as this task and I would do it for a while and then quit. But if you then quit, your body becomes weaker again, you're gonna get injured again, you know? So as you become stronger in your main exercises, you want the weak parts of your body to become stronger as well. So basically, you treat your rehab exercises the same way that you do any other exercise. You do it to become strong. There is no point in doing any exercise if you're not doing it to become better, right? If you're not making progress, then what's the point? So that's what I'm gonna do as well, you know? I have 36 kilos on the hip extensions, for example. That's more weight than I've ever lifted. I'm just gonna try and do it for as many reps as possible. So 3 rounds, let's go. Alright, last sit of the day is done, and you wouldn't believe how happy I am to finish this workout, you know. You don't have enjoyment without suffering, you know. Just like there's no hot without cold, there's no happy without sad, you know. There is no enjoyment without suffering, you know. Not every one of the workouts you're gonna do is gonna be a super special, you know, 100% energy, big PR day, you know. You're not gonna have a new full planche PR every time, or have a new pistol squat PR every time, 1 rep max, total volume, whatever. But there is one PR that you can always beat, you know, and that is the consistency PR, you know. How many days, how many weeks, how many months or years have you been consistent day in, day out? And that's the most important one, you know, because every one of these little workouts, while they are not special on their own, or perhaps you might not think that they are special on their own, but they are part of a bigger whole, you know. They are part of your journey to becoming as strong as you can possibly be, or whatever your goal is. Maybe it is just to have a good physique. In the end, you know, if you've been training for a couple of years or a couple of months and you see some change in your physique, every single rep you did attributed to that, you know. You might not start your set and think like, oh, this one rep is special, but at the same time, if you don't do it, you're not gonna get your results. So in that sense, every one of those reps is special, you know. And every single one of those sets, every single one of those reps, it's something that you can only experience one time in your life, because the amount of experience you have right now is not something you had yesterday, but also tomorrow your experience is going to be different again. So, you know, this one experience that you have today in your workout or in just general life, it's something that you know, when you think about it, it's very special, you know, because it's a one-off thing. So you better appreciate it, you know. And that sounds fucking corny, but at the same time, it's true. So yeah, that's it for today's workout. I was fucking tired, but I'm happy I did it. And yeah, that's it. I'm gonna head downstairs, have some dinner, and I'll see you tomorrow for what is gonna be probably, you know, I'm still a bit sore, but I have a feeling that tomorrow's push workout is gonna be a bit of a special one, you know, in many different ways. But that's something for tomorrow. I'll see you then.